Now, as a neurologist, a remark. First of all, I want to appreciate your fantastic capacity of hearing, of listening and learning. You have heard since this morning 18 presentation. I am the 19th. And I shall take advantage of this, and due to your fantastic capacity of learning, I shall present you a concentrated new problem, unresolved problem. Lord Alfred Thompson Denning defined automatism as an act committed by the muscles without any control of the mind. That means an actus reus without mens rea in jurisprudence language. If the cause is a mental disease, the act is an automatism of insanity. If not a mental disease, the automatism is of non-insanity. Joseph Antonio Charles Lamer, Supreme Court Chief of Canada, characterized sleepwalking as non-insanity automatism. The distinction between the two is a matter of law to be decided by the judge. The physicians only contribute evidence. Opposite verdicts. I want to convince you that opposite verdicts occur in very similar cases of non-insane automatism killing during sleepwalking, somnambulism, sleepwalking. Albert Jackson Tyrrell was a married man and father who left his family to live near Maria Bickford, a beautiful woman. He slit Maria's throat from ear to ear, set fire to her apartment with her in it, and went into hiding for several months. He was captured in New Orleans and taken to Boston for trial. Tyrrell was a chronic sleepwalker. Tyrrell's lawyer convinced the jury that Tyrrell was unaware of his action when he killed Maria Bickford. After less than 2 hours of deliberation, the jury found a verdict of not guilty, 1846. Second case, Stephen Otto Rice, a shark fisherman, was the boyfriend of Eva Maria, a married woman. He stabbed her 4 times in the neck with his pocket knife, killing her. Then he went to the fire station. Walking at 1 a.m., he returned and found Maria dead on the floor. He noticed that the wounds of her neck were similar to those he used to kill sharks, and he thought that he may have killed her. He said he didn't recall attacking her, but remembered a dream in which he struggled with an intruder. Despite the fact that Stephen had a history of sleepwalking, a sleep disease, and the police found half of the bottle of tequila, several empty beer bottles, and a ruled 5 bill with cocaine residue, Stephen Rice was sentenced 26 years to life in prison, 2004. The third case, Kenneth Parks. Yeah, my friend Dr. Roy, he asked me, will you talk about Kenneth Parks, when he read the title, and he was right. Kenneth Parks, age 23, arose, drove 14 miles to the house of his in-laws, strangled his father-in-law, bludgeoned his mother-in-law, and stabbed them both with a kitchen knife. The woman died. The man barely survived. Parks then arrived at a police station, confused, with cut tendons in both hands and oblivious to pain. He said, I think I had just killed 2 people. Experts testified that Parks has been sleepwalking during the attack, not conscious and not responsible. He was found not guilty and acquitted by the Superior Court for double homicide, 1988. The fourth case, Scott Falater, age 43, stabbed his wife 44 times with a pair of gloves on his hand, took her body to the swimming pool, and held her under the water. The police found his wife dead in the pool and her husband in pajamas, oblivious to what had happened. He seemed confused, with no memory of it. Police found the killer's bloody clothes and shoes with the murder weapon in the spare tire area of the trunk of his car, despite a defense claim that he had a sleepwalking disease. He was sentenced to life imprisonment in 2000. Questions: are the intention, consciousness, and decision-making processes of a criminal act absent in sleepwalking killing? Is the diagnosis of sleepwalking equivalent to a lack of mens rea? Mens rea, guilty mind, has been replaced in some jurisdictions by malice aforethought, knowledge, intent, purpose, desire, awareness, and willfulness. Levels of mens rea have been established with a hierarchy from severe to less severe: direct intention, oblique intention, knowingly, recklessly, and criminal negligence. These linguistic attempts to define mens rea converge on the idea of consciousness, a noun without plural, without definition. I wrote 2 books in the last 5 years on consciousness, and without an infrastructure in the brain. This word of consciousness has become a monster, blurring the wonders of the brain. Consciousness is a deep-seated function which casts darkness that is artificially transformed into light. In my book Spirology, I have presented my concept about the symbiotic existence of knowledge and consciousness. Affirming that sleep means absence of consciousness means that knowledge is also absent. If so, how do we remember dreams during active sleep, and how do we consolidate our long-term memory during deep sleep? Sleep is not an abolition of knowledge and consciousness. Sleep is a transient form of a rational thinking to an imaginative thinking by blocking access of the senses to a brain with closed thalamus gates. Performing complex activities such as driving during sleepwalking, stopping at the red lights, without the activation of the upper and lower limbs, whose center is in the homunculus frontal cortex, and of the visual parietotemporal zones, is a neuroscientific enigma. And I present you now what's going on between 2007 and today. What is the functional magnetic resonance imaging of the brain? What is the functional magnetic resonance imaging of the brain during a wake state? You see, in red is active. In the frontal area, you see red, red, red. You see, this is activity. In green and blue, it's less activities. And you see in deep sleep, here there's no activity in the frontal, prefrontal, frontal, parietal, temporal area. Here, and here, and here, and here, there is no activity. Then, Acts involving complex movements that activate many muscles are under the control of the decision-making area of the prefrontal cortex. We have, each one of us, we have one center of decision-making. This is here in the prefrontal lobe. Under the control of this decision-making, we are doing all the things that identical complex activities can be performed without control by the prefrontal cortex. This is a question has not been established by neuroscience up till now. Then why do we verdict such things of acquitted, of guilty and non-guilty, when neuroscientifically we have any base? Decision about the presence or absence of mens rea during sleepwalking homicide is a matter of probability. Establishment of criteria for responsibility and punishment of sleepwalking killing, according to the new neuroscientific data by an international commission of jurists and medics, is mandatory. Thank you for your attention.